How you guys doing? This is Trajan. We're talking about the end of the Jurgens era of Action Comics. I'm very sad about this because Dan Jurgens is a personal favorite of mine. I love his storytelling. I think he does two things very well and one thing not too well. I think he begins stories very well. I think he ends stories very well. Which in comics I've noticed that most people just don't know how to end a story, so they just kind of like have it stop Bendis, and but Jurgens is very good at actually telling a coherent story. His problem is his stories seem to all drag. Looking at you, Booster Shot, in the middle, but it usually tends to, if you stick with it, it tends to wrap around. He's a very good trade paperback writer, I'd say. Uh, Booster Shot was especially good because even though it did drag, and even though we all know that he was just kind of like wasting time until 1000, he was the creator of Booster Gold, and he was able to utilize Booster Gold in a way that I don't think anybody else really can. And he was able to tell two great stories with Booster Gold in one arc. You can actually separate this Booster Shot arc into kind of two storylines, one focusing on Booster Gold, and the second focusing on Superman, yet still talking about Booster Gold, where he sacrifices, spoilers, obviously, he sacrifices his own, let's say, pleasure. I don't want to use the word pleasure. Hey, he sacrifices his own safety, so to speak, by changing the past in order to help Superman. So, just great character development. I loved it. I really loved when he reunites with his mother. It's just it's such a beautiful scene. Issues 996 and 997, I think, were the worst two of the bunch. It's a great example of just he can't. He always tends to get lost in the weeds of his stories. I think that was a good example of it happening, but whatever. Anyway, 999 is a one shot. It kind of builds off the Booster Gold story, but it's a one shot, and it's he is a Dan Jurgens is a master storyteller with the one shot. I think it benefits with the fact that there's no real middle. It's just kind of like a beginning and then an end. The middle is always like 2 or 3 pages, and so it doesn't have time to get old. But he does it again where he tells two stories. One is about Hank Henshaw, Cyborg Superman, and the second one is about the Lane family basically reuniting. And he frames it with the Hank Henshaw story of he tells his origin story, and he pulls him out of the Phantom Zone, and he does this so that let me get some nice. This art, by the way, is beautiful. What was his name? Will Conrad. I like this art. I don't care what anybody says. It's definitely not realistic. It's definitely cartoony, but I like it a lot. But anyway, so he tries to get he gets Hank Henshaw, and his whole thing is that he doesn't want to be like Jor-El. He doesn't want to be like his father with the Phantom Zone. He Cal yeah Cal Superman thinks that the Phantom Zone is inhumane, which kind of is. It makes you go crazy, as he saw with in this storyline with Zod's family. And so what he does is that he basically he says at a certain point, here I'll show you that. Says at a certain point, I can't let you go. You have to be a prisoner, but the one thing I can do is I could take away like your pain. And so he gives them the crystal that we saw in the Oz effect, and he lets him hallucinate and relive being with his family and friends, with his wife and his friends. And so we have a beautiful scene of Hank Henshaw finally happy after so long. Fine, and it's amazing, and it's great because he frames this with the story of the Lane family reuniting, and spoilers obviously, but in the end they reunite, and the scene that watch, this is the scene that sets it up with Hank, and the scene that ends it is essentially thematically exactly the same, and it's great because you see this idealized goal that this is all that Hank wanted in his life. This is everything that he desires. And we see that Clark is able to at least help his family attain that. And it's just great. And one of the other great things about Jurgens is that during the story we have General Lane and we have Lois fighting with each other. And you're not supposed to like General Lane. They fight about Superman, and he's anti-Superman, obviously. But throughout the story, as you get closer to the end, you kind of see things his way. He does a very good job of sympathizing the character. You see where he's coming from. You understand his concerns about Superman. There's a great line about how What if Superman wants to be king? There's nothing that we could do to stop it. And of course, John Kent's like, Superman would never do that. And General Lane is like, yeah, well, you say that, but we don't know that for a fact. What if he changes his mind? We don't know anything about him. And it's true. It's completely true. You give up a lot of autonomy by allowing Superman around. But the idea, and he says, you can't rely on blind faith. You're right. He's right. You can't. Obviously, we know that Superman would never do anything like that, but he doesn't. That's the point. But we have a great reuniting. I love Jurgens. Jurgens is the type of writer who I'm going to follow to whatever he does. I don't read Detective Comics. I find it, I just don't like it. He could write Detective Comics. I would buy. He could write Batwoman, which is a book that I fucking hate. I would buy it just because of his writing. Because I think he tells very good stories with anybody. Bendis, on the other hand, I think it's very telling that their advertisements for Bendis all say Bendis is coming. Because guys, it's not it's not a it's not an announcement. It's a warning. It's a warning. Bendis is coming. They gave Bendis complete creative control, and that's why they ended Super Sons. That's why they're doing this whole kind of anything not Justice League related. They're redoing, they're retooling, repurposing so that Bendis has complete control over it, and that's kind of scary because it's Brian Michael Bendis, and we've seen what he does with complete control. Now everybody's saying that, oh well, he's the most excited that he's ever been. This is a good sign. Okay, fine, but I'm not sold. I'm very apprehensive. I'm not going to give up on Superman or Action Comics. Superman's one of my favorite characters, and the older I get, the more I love Superman. But I'm very scared. I would be lying if I told you that I wasn't scared. So this is the end of the Jurgens era. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Did you guys like it as much as I did? I fucking loved it. I thought the Oz Effect was actually the worst story arc, but I think it was more because Jurgens had less to do with it. I think kind of the storyline was given to him, or he had room to play around with, but not as much as he usually did. Booster Shot I actually really enjoyed, but I really do think it's his smaller works that really he shines in. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. Are you excited for Bendis? Are you not? Let me know. Let me know in the comics. Let me know in the comments below. I'll catch you guys later.